during the 2024 NBA playoffs, two NBA players that really stood out to me at this moment of time that are rising from all-star level players to star levels and potentially a guy who might reach the superstar levels are Anthony Edwards and Pablo Banchero. Let's talk about both of them. So we're going to start this conversation off with Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards, at this moment of time in the playoffs, his stats: 33.5 points per game, 8 rebounds, 5.5 assists, 2 steals, 1 block, 3.4 turnovers. Got to get those down. 53% from the field, 43% from the three-point line, and 86% from the free throw. That man is on a tear. Anthony Edwards was able to help lead his Timberwolves 4 games. Swept the Phoenix Suns in the first round. Ridiculous, because a lot of people didn't think that was impossible, that they can just get swept, but they got swept, and Anthony Edwards helped lead the charge with his scoring outbursts and just his scoring outbursts mixed with his media presence, best off of his characterism, and while he's doing everything. It just, to me, in my personal opinion, it just stands out so much more, especially during this time frame, because it's like, man, this is crazy that Anthony Edwards is becoming that guy right in front of us. And in my personal opinion, the playoffs are playing so much of a big factor when it comes to Anthony Edwards because, as you know, one of the arguments that a lot of people don't really talk about as much, which they should be talking about, which we'll get to that eventually, is the fact that the NBA is looking for their next face of the league. And the face of the league, we are looking at, if you're a regular NBA fan, a regular casual NBA fan that just watches basketball, doesn't dive into the stats, doesn't dive into all this stuff that we do here on YouTube, they're looking at, they'll be looking to market. They're looking to market it, right? They're looking for somebody that's going to be like, oh, okay, we'll associate this guy with basketball as the best player in basketball. And for the NBA, they don't want to give it to a foreign player. Let's be honest here. They don't want to give it to a foreign-born player because if they did, Jokic would be pushed a little bit more, which they can't get it out of him because he doesn't really care. It seems like it's not really care. Let me take that back. He treated it as a side business. They don't want to crown Luka that. Quite honestly, throughout the NBA history, they just want American-born players to be the face of their company, to be the face of their league. If you go all the way back to the days of Bill Russell, despite during that time frame, and then Jerry West as the NBA logo. And then you had Kareem, which they accepted Kareem, but they got other stuff going on during the 80s. Of course, Magic and Bird, 90s with Jordan, the early 2000s and stuff. You can argue it was Kobe and Tim Duncan, but mostly Kobe because Tim Duncan was more towards himself. And then you get to the 2010s, and in 2010s it's been LeBron James, and now they're looking for their new face, and this happens to be right now with the way Anthony Edwards is playing and the way how much hype he's getting. They're gonna push Anthony Edwards. They wish he was in a different market outside of the Timberwolves, but I'm glad he's in the Timberwolves and not in these bigger markets. This allowed them to actually try to push somebody that's in a smaller market, and that's what they're doing that's what they will be doing with Anthony Edwards. He is not saving, but he's pretty much telling the NBA, yeah, I'm right here. And that's what the NBA is going to grab onto. Do not be surprised going into the next few years, especially the way he's playing, especially depends on how far the T-Wolves do get. They're going to be pushing that very heavily, Anthony Edwards as the face of the NBA, despite who the best players in the NBA are right about now, right? Anthony Edwards in this playoffs, like I said, with them stats and stuff like that, he got me saying that he's the best shooting guard in the league. I think that 4-0 series against the Suns kind of knocked Devin Booker back. Mitchell's the only other argument you can make right about now, but Mitchell in that Cavaliers squad, question we'll talk about it a little later, next video or something like that, because I'm questioning what's going on there. Anthony Edwards is doing exactly what what star level players are doing. And if you know me, I have three tiers. I have like four. I have three tiers. You're a superstar, meaning you're the best player on a championship team. You're most likely the finals MVP winner. You have a star player where you are the second best player on the NBA team, to where there's times to where it looks like there's times in your career where you look like you're a superstar, but in reality, you are the second best players. And then the third guys are normally just your all-star level players, the guys who are, sometimes they're all-stars, sometimes they're not. And they'll play up to that point, but they won't take their game to the next level because they just can't. It's just one of those they can't. And then of course you have everybody else, your role players, your dirty work guys, and stuff like that. In my personal opinion. So right now I have Anthony Edwards. During the season he was an all-star. You know, he was one of those top tier all-stars, and now here in the playoffs he's rise to that star level player. In my personal opinion, I'm thinking he's taking this right here. He's like, yeah, I'm a star player in this league, and now with being a star player, he is now focusing and not forcing his way. He is knocking on the door to superstar level, and depends on how this playoffs run. At the very end, I could be saying, yeah, that's a superstar level player. He's knocking on the door, and he's like, hey, what's going on up here? Right now, he's in that range to where, in my personal opinion, the range of the star level players that are your Anthony Davises, your Kevin Durant's, your Kyrie Irvings, your we'll stop right there. We'll stop at those level guys where he's with them. He's chilling out with them, hanging out. But then he's like, what's that door over there? Oh, that's superstar levels. You know, that's your Currys, your LeBrons, your Jordans, your Kobe's, your Shaqs. You know, like, oh, well, I'm gonna be I'll be handed over that way here eventually. You know what I'm saying? So this is cool hanging out with you guys. It's fun. It's interesting, but I kind of want to be up that way, and that's my personal opinion. That's where Anthony Edwards is heading. Taking game one off of the Nuggets and putting up 43. I told you guys that they're in the middle of players rising, like Anthony Edwards is doing right now. That the defense has to be something different that he can't overcome. And KCP being on him it's not enough. It's just not enough, in my personal opinion. It's just not enough. They might have to put Peyton Watson, bring him off the bench, and put him on Anthony Edwards and see if his defensive skills can hold Anthony Edwards. But we'll see what the adjustment they make in game number 2. Like I said, Anthony Edwards is rising to that next level. Now, let's go over to his Eastern counterpart, in my personal opinion, who is also rising. His rise is going to be a lot different because a lot of people don't talk about it enough. It happens to be Pablo Banchero. They went 7 games against the Cavaliers, and they did lose in 7 games. But Pablo Banchero in the playoffs, he averaged 25 points, 7.5 rebounds, 4.5 assists, about a steal. He had about 4.5 turnovers. And I understand that one. 47% from the field, 38% from the 3-point line, and 71% of his free throws. Let's talk about Banchero. Watching a lot of the Magic and Cavs games, I think that's probably my second favorite? My second or third favorite of the playoffs this year, and mainly because I wanted to see something different. My first favorite playoff series was the Knicks and the 76ers. My second one had to be, of course, my Thunder winning. I mean, come on, I'm biased. And my third one here was the Magic and the Cavs, because a lot of people don't talk about the Magic and the Cavs and what they were doing in the playoffs, because I don't know why. People just don't watch basketball, I'm assuming. But watching Pablo play, some of the things I noticed from Pablo's game that I'm sure that after this playoff run he's going to fix. One of the things I noticed is that they were saying already at this age, at young age of 21 years old, he'll be 22 in November. At 21 years old, he was already leading the team in points, rebounds, and assists already doing that. He already passed the Magic players in most points in the playoffs already. He's already done that. Already at 21 years old is what he's already done that. So Pablo now, what he's going to do in this offseason, in my personal opinion, he's going to focus on that 3 ball. He's still going to be focused on that 3-point line because 38%, that was absolutely beautiful, right? He's going to focus on that. He's going to focus more on playmaking a little bit more. He's going to learn how to turn those turnovers down, because the 4.5, that's a lot. That is a lot. That was very a lot. However, I understand it because out there on that Magic's team, there's not many playmakers out there. So Pablo took it upon himself to develop his game to try to become a playmaker also. He's also rebounding. He's also the scorer. So he's one of the better defensive players on his team. So Pablo right now is molding himself. He's getting molded into what we love as superstar players. I'm not calling him a superstar. He was an all-star this year. I think that will continue. I don't think he's right now out east outside of Giannis. Is he the second best power forward out east outside of Giannis? Evan Mobley has an argument, but I think Pablo's already eclipsed him on the offensive side of the ball. Defensively, I think Evan Mobley is better. I think Pablo's going to get better on that side of the ball. I think Pablo's going to be at a point to where he's a good to maybe great defensive player. But I don't think he's going to be able to surpass one of his teammates, Jonathan Isaac, on the defensive end, right? I think Isaac is just molded to be an elite defensive player, and then Evan Mobley has the potential to become the elite defensive player himself. So, like I said, that's why I said good to great, and then the elites. You know what I'm saying? I think Pablo gets to that point. Pablo already is doing a lot more than what some of these other teams have, some of these other younger players have to do, you know. And quietly, and I say this quietly while playing for the Orlando Magic, a lot of people just don't see it with him. You know, I'm listening to other people when they discuss the Orlando Magic and stuff. They don't really say hardly anything about the Orlando Magic. They don't see Pablo's potential. They don't see what he could become. And I'm just like, that's crazy, because right now, if you're watching these games, like I was watching all 7, I can't say I watched all 7. I think I watched 5 out of the 7. I know I watched game 7 when that was airing. Watching Pablo play, watching the Magic play, there's things they gotta fix. One of the things they gotta fix is learning how to keep a lead and dominate them. But that's a young team, so I'm not, because I wasn't expecting the Magic to be this good anyway. But Pablo's like, yeah, we started off rough, we had a lot of injuries and we started off kind of rough, and then once we got it going, this is doing his rookie season. He said, then we got going, and then they went on this crazy run. They thought they could make the play in last year. I was like, that's crazy. And then this year, they're like, yeah, we're comfortably the 4 or 5. There's fifth. They're finishing 5th this year, if I'm not mistaken. They finished 5th this year. And what he's doing is going on the radar. First time All-Star. Don't hear too many people talking about that. From All-Star to going to this star level tier that I'm going to put him at, or he's borderline star tier, and 25 points a game. I mean, what he putting up in the playoffs was 25 a game, grabbing double-digit rebounding, and still doing the assists compared to his regular season stats where he was only 22, 7, and 5. The assist goes down, points and rebounds goes up. And against one of the better defensive teams in the Cavaliers with that front court lineup, and he was able to do what he was able to do. He's going to keep growing, right? He's going to get stronger. He's going to get smarter. He's going to be more dangerous as a player moving forward, and the Magic has that. They finally have another franchise-level talent like this. It's the Orlando Magic's job in the front office to ensure that they continue to grow. This is going to be one of those, I feel like this is going to be one of those situations to where they are an elite point guard away, a playmaking point guard away from really unlocking what Pablo is going to be able to do. And then I think the world will finally see exactly what I see in Pablo Banchero. I think at his absolute peak of his prime, I think we're looking like 28 points per game, 10 plus rebounds, 5 plus assists, can hit the 3, can hit the mid-range, can attack the basket, can do everything on the court that you need him to do, rim protect, all that in nature. He's going to be a cheat code. He's going to be definitely a cheat code. And right now, like I said, with Giannis still in the league and the way that Giannis is playing and stuff, right now you can start making arguments that depends on who you have at your who you call power forwards in the league, Pablo could, about in his absolute prime of his prime, which is about probably 5 years from now when he's 27 years old, 26, 27 years old, at that point in time, you can most likely be like, yeah, Pablo is the best power forward in the league. And then there's no question about it. There's going to be arguments for it, but I think he's going to be at least the best, if not the best, top 3 easy, and he ain't 3 or 2. You know what I'm saying? I think Pablo has that potential, and he's knocking on those. He's knocking on that door right now. He's all-star going into that star level tier, compared to Anthony Edwards, who's at the star level tier going into that superstar tier. They're right there, and like I said, he's going to be underrated for a while. He's going to be one of those underrated power forwards for a while. But hopefully, going into next season, that after what he's done in the playoffs, that more people are starting to see Pablo. And when they see Pablo, they're going to like, all right, he is one of the best. He is the best power forward. He's, I'm ready for those questions. I'm ready for those statements to be made, and I can't wait to see that. But that's my personal opinion. Both of these players, these all-stars going to star level players, and that star level going to superstar level is happening in the playoffs. I think this is fantastic. We got agendas to push 24/7. But y'all hit that like, comment, and subscribe, and I will get to the next player we're going to be talking about.